is hopefully the final day of orthodontic treatment before I go into double jaw surgery. If you're new here, my name is Ashley. I'm getting double jaw surgery. I've had my braces on for about a year and a month at this point. We have just been waiting on custom bands and being able to put my surgery wire in. So today, fingers crossed, what I think is going to have happen is they're going to put the custom bands on some of my back molars, 4 of them, which we've been waiting on. They're going to remove my bite blockers because I believe that my surgeon doesn't want bite blockers in when I go through surgery, and I've had them since the start of my orthodontic treatment to just make sure that my teeth don't literally bite off my bottom brackets, and then put a surgery wire in on the bottom. I have a surgical wire on the top, but they weren't able to put one in on the bottom. So hopefully all of that goes according to plan today. I've already had to push back my surgery because of my orthodontic treatment, and I really don't want to do that anymore. I think we're also going to do scans today, a CT scan, just to give my surgeon a better idea of what he's working with. I've already had a consult with him down in LA, which is where he's located, but I'm going today. I'm flying there today again to go see him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes according to plan, because after today, it'll be 3 weeks. I'll go to LA again, and then 6 weeks from that time that I get my final records, I will have my surgery. So that kind of pushes us the end of March, early April. I really don't want to push any farther than that, but we will see after my appointment this morning.
Awesome.
I just got out of my ortho appointment. It took an hour and a half, and we did almost everything that they wanted to do. I feel like I'm talking different because of the new bands, but essentially I thought we were doing 4 bands, but we ended up doing 8 bands. And then they also shaved down my bite blockers, so when I bite down, it's like goes much farther down, and oh my gosh, even though I use Aquaphor, my poor mouth gets cut up. If you have braces, I highly recommend always wearing chapstick when you go in, because it literally rubs me raw every single time. We also did an x-ray, we took images, she also did scans. I'm gonna have to come back before I leave for the airport to get my 3D prints, but then they're sending everything else off to my surgeon. So we're pretty close. The only thing that we didn't do is put in surgery wires. They're a little bit lighter. Oh, and one of my brackets like came off during the process, so that's why it took a little bit longer. But everything should be pretty good, so I'm really curious what the surgeon is gonna say. And now I need to go home, pack my bag, we're gonna stop and get coffee, and then we're gonna pick up the scans and then go to the airport. Eric and I just got through security, and it really is crazy how many people do not wear masks. We are quite literally the only people that are wearing masks. I don't understand why people don't care about their own personal health.
Especially at an international gate. Thing is controlled by a wall-mounted thermostat.
Beautiful LA. Smile. Eric and I are walking to my appointment, and this is literally the hellscape of infrastructure. We just got out of my appointment, and I think it's so funny where I was telling my surgeon, I was like, oh, you don't have to do the medical certificate anymore for my employer because they fired me. And he was like, isn't that retaliation? And I was like, you're telling me, girl. I am back from my surgery appointment in LA, and it was really exciting to make it feel more real. So essentially what that appointment was going, and he was taking a bunch of measurements of my face to actually see me in person. My first appointment with him was over Zoom, and then I went to go see him in person, but he didn't really have the scans like I mentioned that made it accurate. So it was just nice to be able to see him in person. I also don't see a lot of information about orthognathic surgery online, which makes me nervous about the surgery, but also I'm still really confident. But one of his past patients was there, and he was 8 weeks post-op and is still pretty swollen, but not super bad. He's talking, he's eating, obviously not like super solid foods, but he's not on a liquid diet anymore. So it was really reassuring to be able to see somebody who'd actually gone through the surgery. And for me, essentially first, he wanted to do a 5-piece mandibular expansion. So not only bringing both of the jaws forward, but also expanding the palate on the top open. But I do have one of those like lumps, those bone lumps, because of my grinding. So I don't know if it's going to make sense for us to expand my palate. And he said even looking at me in person based on my measurements, it doesn't really look necessary, but we'll still obviously bring the jaws forward. He wants to do a counterclockwise rotation, so bringing my top jaw, the back of it, down and shifting it just to be more aligned. And what I really like about this surgeon specifically, because I went to a plastic surgeon up in Northern California where I'm from, and he was going to do the whole thing, and then he was also going to do fat grafting, which was really interesting to me, but he was like a third of the price, which was a little bit of a red flag. And then I went to go see someone in San Francisco, and he didn't seem to be as interested in the aesthetic portion of it. So this is why I chose the surgeon that I did, who's down in LA, and I found him online. He had so many before and after photos, and he seems very particular and in the details about the aesthetics. So not only are we talking about the actual function of my mouth, but we are talking about how are my soft tissues going to look? Are my lips going to look symmetrical? Is this going to help my under eyes? How is this going to help my nasolabial folds? Like, how is this going to age my face over the course of the long run? Because essentially what double jaw surgery does is open up your airway and allow for more of your soft tissues to have your tongue sit properly in your mouth. So with my side profile, because my chin is so recessed, my tongue and these muscles here are not pulling the way that they should, and instead they're pushing down, which gives the look of a double chin. And what it is you're like choking on yourself and not able to breathe. So this is why it induces sleep apnea, which I did a sleep study, and this is me at my sleep study where I had a bunch of instances of sleep apnea. And when you're laying down, your tongue is pretty much going into the back of your throat. So it's great to be able to talk about this surgery from a holistic perspective with this surgeon in particular. And again, there were so many before and afters that really make me feel reassured. And he posts on Reddit all the time talking about each of the cases, and he's just very invested into orthognathic surgery. And like I said, there's not a lot of people who go through this surgery because it is very intense. And especially as an adult, you can't really have braces change your face and your bone structure the way you can if you have braces when you're a child or a teenager. The next step for me is to go to my orthodontist in 2 days and get my surgery wires placed in. Once those surgery wires are placed in, then we will be able to actually give me a surgery date. From there, I'm gonna need 3 weeks to settle, and then from that point, 6 weeks for the doctor to plan the surgery. Depending on how quickly he can get my records, he might have a faster planning process, but I don't wanna get too ahead of myself. So that's looking into mid-April-ish, second or third week. And after I have my teeth settled, I will go back down to LA. We will do scans. We'll do a medical grade CT scan. We'll do a 3D MD scan, which is also like the soft tissue projection. So not only is he looking at x-rays and planning accordingly based on my actual bones, but it's going to be able to project what I'm going to look like at the end, because I will look significantly different. A lot of people say that they have an identity crisis when they have this type of surgery, or similar to when you get your nose done, you look like a different person and you really have to adapt and adopt your new physical features. And so I'm excited for that portion. I've talked very openly about the aesthetics and the beauty side of this surgery. So I'm very much looking forward to that meticulous planning process where we're gonna go in and we're gonna talk about the very fine details and where we're gonna bone graft to fill in more space so that I can age very naturally and very beautifully. And another part of this delayed gratification glow up journey for me was dissolving all of my fillers and not getting Botox for the time being. So I haven't gotten really Botox for over a year, and I recently got all of my lip filler dissolved. I started with getting my under eyes dissolved, and then I went ahead and did my lips as well. My lips, I will say, because I have braces, people often talk about how their lips look really good when they have braces because you get a little bit of that projection, but my lips look even bigger than when I first started. I have a very small mouth, and my mouth looks much bigger than it did before I had gotten braces and before I had gotten lip filler. So I do think that there is remnants of scar tissue in my lips, which I'm totally fine with because I think that it looks nice, and I'm really eager to see how my lips are going to look after the surgery and see where I need to do touch up. I will say I will not do filler again in my face. I will do something like PRP with Easy Gel, or I will do fat grafting. I will do something that is far more permanent, but for me now, I'm just curious how this is gonna look. He's gonna do something called a VY closure on my lip as well when he's going through the jaw surgery. So we're gonna do the jaw surgery. He's gonna settle the bones and things like that, but he's gonna do that cut, which is not quite a lip lift. Like when you get a lip lift, you have an incision right under your nose, but instead he's gonna cut open inside of my mouth and then sew it up in a way that's gonna allow my lip to be a little bit more protruded, so you're not really adding anything else into the lip that's foreign. It's just the lip itself, and it's just gonna be sewn up slightly different to give it a little bit more of that aesthetic look. So I'm eager to do that as well. When I'm under, you might as well do it all. So that was kind of the intention that I had all along through this entire process. I've had my braces, like I said, for a year and a month, and I knew that this was going to be such a long process. I think so often people want instant gratification. And like I said, I even thought about getting a chin implant. I went to my orthodontist and I said, hey, I don't really love my side profile. I have a couple of teeth that need to be fixed. I also have jaw issues. I get so much Botox in my masseters because I'm clenching so much, and that's definitely been a struggle over the course of this journey, is not getting it. So my face is a little bit more round than it would be if I was getting my masseter Botox, but I wake up in the middle of the night clenching. I just have so much tension in my jaw, so I'm hoping that when my bite is fixed and my teeth settle and are aligned together, I will have less clenching overall, but we will see, and I'm still open to getting Botox after my surgery and after everything is healed. But that was really what my orthodontist, she was like, do not get a chin implant. If you do jaw surgery, it's going to be very intense, but the results overall are going to look so much more natural because, again, it's your bone structure. It's your face just augmented. There's no foreign objects, there's no implants, there's no fillers, etc. Another thing that was really interesting is that I've talked about my side profile being one of the kind of high priorities for me aesthetic wise, where initially my surgeon down in LA wasn't going to bring my chin forward because he thought we would be able to bring my jaw forward enough, but he's thinking that he's going to bring my jaw forward less and then actually do my chin. So it's a genioplasty, so it's kind of like a chin implant, but it's actually with your own bone. I have had to learn so much patience over the course of this entire journey because, again, you're kind of not where you want to be. You know this is not the end result. You know this is not even close to the end result. And then having to take back all of the beauty and aesthetics treatments I have done thus far in order to have like a clean, natural canvas is just really settling into this is me as a person at all facets of my journey. I've talked very openly, and I have a podcast episode talking about beauty and aesthetics where if there's something that you don't like or you would feel more comfortable with if you did something, I am from the camp of if you can and you want to, you should. So for me, I have the means to be able to do this delayed gratification glow up journey where I have the time, I have the means, I have the space, I have the mental strength to be able to know, okay, this is totally a journey. I'm gonna look so many different ways across the board throughout. I'm also going to feel so many different ways across the board throughout. Like for example, if my surgery keeps getting pushed back into the middle of April, I have a wedding to go to in May. So I'm definitely going to be still super swollen, not being able to eat, but my life is not going to stop simply because I'm getting this surgery. So I'm really eager to continue pushing forward, and it's becoming so much more real now that I'm seeing my surgeon. We're gonna have to be living down in LA for a month post-op because my surgeon obviously wants to be able to have access to me and make sure that everything is going according to plan. But once those arrangements are also set, and once I get like a solidified, super solidified surgery appointment time, I am going to feel like this is so much more real. So I'm really excited to go to my orthodontist appointment in 2 days and then go and get my final records, which I of course will be taking you along the way. I just want to do this essentially to talk about a delayed gratification. The reason I am recording this process, like I said, is not a lot of people talk about this surgery in particular, and I think that there's not a lot of conversation around delayed gratification glow up. It's always like you think that it's going to happen overnight. You see someone's before and after and you go, oh my gosh, I want it tomorrow, and that's not the reality oftentimes when you do something that is for longevity. And so I just want to document this process not only for myself to remind me that good things take time, but also for anybody else that wants to do things a little bit harder in the immediate for things to be more worth it in the long run. So stay tuned.